Hello and welcome back to HiveState Bakugan. This is part 2 of the Resurgence set review. If you missed part 1, well, once all these are done, there will be a playlist. Otherwise, just, I don't know, look at my recent videos. It's there. But we're doing Darkus today, and we're just going to go ahead and we're going to get started with the actions. The first card in Darkus for this set is Dark Fortune. It is 3 energy to play it. You get to search your deck for an Evo card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. If your deck specifically needs and focuses around one evolution, it's a good card. Or if you don't want to run too many evolutions and you want to be able to basically do, let's say you're running 3 of each evolution. Well, instead, why not run 2 of each evolution and 3 of this as the 3rd of each? That way, if you have one and you need another, you can just pay 3 and search out the one you need. It's not too bad. 3 feels a little expensive for this type of tutor, but can't complain. Dark Path is the next one. It is 2 energy for plus 300 B power. It's just bad. I will never use it. The artwork is cool, but it's just a bad card. No, thank you. Darkus Howl, 4 energy for 400 B power. But if you sacrifice a card, you get plus 1000 B power instead. At first glance, I kind of liked it, but looking into it, I don't. The 4 energy is too high, really, in my opinion, because 4 for 400 is bad. That's common knowledge. Discarding a card, is discarding that card worth 200 B power? Because 4 energy should be 800 B power. So is discarding a card as part of this cost worth the extra 200 points from what it should be? It'll work, but it's not my favorite. Darkus Petrify. 2 energy, you can remove 5 damage. Not too bad. Not too great, not too bad. Darkus Slicer, for 1 energy, you can give plus 200 B. That's on par. But if you're holding a green fist, which is everywhere these days, plus 3 damage also, which isn't bad for 1. Pair this up with Aquas and you've turned Flow on for 1, and it has some combo potential. I'm okay with it. Cheap cards are good. Dust to Dust is the next card. This one only costs 3 energy for 300. Not great. Sacrifice, you can discard a card to draw 2 cards. The sacrifice ability's nice, but the 3 for 300 is just kind of not. I can see it being ran specifically for the draw in Mono Darkus, but you're paying 3 to only draw 2, and you're having to get rid of a card, so you're gaining no card advantage because you're losing a card for playing the card, you're discarding a card, and you're only gaining 2. So it's cycling 2 for 3 energy, and you get a little bit of a B power boost. It's passable. Mind Control. This card doesn't look like Darkus, but whatever. This card's fun. For 5 energy, your opponent reveals their hand, and you can play an action card from it for free, gain its effects, and put it in your opponent's discard pile. 5 energy, so it's a little expensive. But what you're getting to do is see what your opponent has. Information is very important. If you can remember the cards that they have, you know how they can be power boosts and stuff like that. Second, you're getting to remove a card of your choice, as long as it's not an evolution or a hero, and you gain the benefits from it. That's good. I also really like this card's effect if you're running something that can double card effects. So you've already won the battle. You play Mind Control, see what you want, maybe boost your damage, play it a second time for free because of a card effect, do something else. It's an interesting card, and I would like to see how it can be ran. The next is Mind Slip. Only 2 energy for this one. Choose a player to discard a card, and you may reroll your Bakugan. So, hurts your opponent's hand, gives them less options of what they can do, And you're getting to, if you missed, re-roll. So there's that, not too bad. I like it. Moving to the evolutions, we're starting with Diamond Phaedrus. This is a 4-drop evolution for 700 B power and 9 damage. It's not fantastic, and I feel some other cards may feel this spot better, but 9 damage is really good damage, and 700 B power can put up a fight. So it can work. It's not the best diamond we've seen, but it can work. Hypercindius Ultra, 4 energy for this evolution. 900 B power, not bad for 4 energy. 5 damage, okay, not bad. And Victor, your opponent discards a card. In the right deck, I actually thoroughly like this card. If your opponent's running some discard thing where it's okay for them to discard their own cards, it's iffy, but we're not seeing as many cards like that as I thought we would. So I can see this being a little more valid than it should be. Might want to build a deck around this. Not saying you, I'm saying me. I might want to try something with this, but we'll see, we'll see. Hyper Dragonoid Ultra is the next evolution. It's a 2-drop. You only have 500 B power with it, so for 2 energy, you're basically getting slightly above average Bs. The damage is also just okay. But if you land on a Green Fist, plus 400 B power and plus 3 damage. So if you're running a Green Fist deck, it's a 2-drop that gives you a 908. That's good. That 2-drop 908, yes please. But moving on. Next is Hyper Fangzor Ultra. I really like this card. Only 3 energy to play it. You get it's 1000 B. That's good Bs. 3 damage. It's not great damage, but it has Shadow Strike, so it will never be reduced. Shadow Strike is such a fun mechanic. It just keeps you where you're at, and I like this evolution. Hyper Gortheon Ultra. This evolution costs a whopping 1, and, well, it doesn't give you too much just stat-wise. It's 500 B power, so you're paying 1 to make it okay. It's 4 damage. Core Bakugan have that easily. But this does have a Victor effect that lets you discard a flip card for plus 4 damage. So if you draw too many of your flips, instead of charging it, you can discard it, and you're getting a bonus effect. It's hard to complain about a card when it only costs 1 energy. Hyper Nilius Ultra is the next. It costs 3 for 500 B power and 8 damage. Right there, if that alone isn't great. But its effect is actually kind of cool. It's plus 800 B power, okay, for landing on a shield, which is going to be boosting you B power. So it's a fun card. I can definitely see me running this in the right situations and in the right decks, so I like it. A 1500 easily turn 3? Yes, please. Hyper Pegatrix comes next at 2 energy, 500 B power, 9 damage. That's not bad for 2 energy. The Bs aren't great, but the 9 damage, you can play around that. And you can reroll this once a turn if you miss a roll with it. Okay. I can see this being actually a really fun card for like a deck for new players. We might have a video on that later. Hyper Serpentine Ultra, 3 energy for this one, 600 B power and 8 damage. Okay. But when you play this, give a Bakugan plus 400 B power and Shadow Strike. So I like these for a reason that I mentioned in the Aquas portion of this as well. You can play evolutions on top of themselves. So whether you are playing Hyper Serpentine Ultra and you need the extra push for this turn, you can play it on yourself, make yourself a 1000 B for the turn, and you can't get that reduced. Not bad. If you're fighting with somewhere else for 3 energy, you're getting plus 400 B, which isn't great, but you're also giving yourself Shadow Strike, which can help in quite a few situations. So all in all, it could be a fun evolution. Maximus Garganoid Ultra is the next one. This is an 8 energy evolution, so it's pretty expensive late game. For 1,000 Bs, it's pretty low B power for that turn. 10 damage is nice. But on top of this, it has a couple effects. If you miss a roll, you can re-roll with it. And you can play this from your discard pile as though it were in your hand. So that second part's pretty neat. If you have some of those discard a card sacrifice effects, feel free to get rid of them. You can play him again later. So he will be in there when you need him. If you took him as damage, he can come right back. I like that quite a bit. But all in all, I think the card's a little underwhelming for the cost that it is. 8 is just too much for what little it does. Titan Syndius is next. It is 5 energy for 1,010 damage. So that is 3 less, has the exact same stat line, but has no effect. I like this one better. I still think there's better cards to play with 5 energy, evolution-wise, but you can run with that damage at least. So 3 turns earlier, I'll take it. Titan Mantanoid. This one costs 6 energy to play for 800 B power. So that's expensive for a little bit of B. 12 damage, very nice. That's good. And you can re-roll if you miss. So it's very beginner friendly. And the 12 damage, mix this with some Pyrus, play, what is it, Might of Syndius. You have some things you can work with. Titan Serpentines, another 5 cost evolution, 900 B power for this one, and 7 damage. So not the worst stats, not the best for the price, but it has an effect. If you land on a Flaming Fist, plus 500 B power and plus 6 damage. So something that's already going to be giving you a good bit of damage, probably like, I don't know, plus 6 damage, plus 12, plus 7. It can snowball. And then you also get an extra 500 for the B power for landing on something that's going to help your damage. So that's always nice. And you can also reroll it once a turn if you miss. So there's that padding. Titan Tertonium Ultra. This I do believe is a Bakugan Elite. It only costs 4 to evolve this turtle. And gives it 1,000 B power. That for 4 I'm okay with. 15 damage. Yes, please, that's just fantastic. But there's a downside. When you play this, you have to discard your hand. That's normally a downside. If you're running this in the right decks, Pyrus Darkus Fury for an example, this thing will just turn on more of your cards. So play this along with some other Bakugan that you should already have the evolutions out, and it starts rolling. And if you have some draw cards on the field, you might can get back to where you were going. It's definitely playable if you're running the deck for it. Moving on to the flip cards, I almost said trap cards. We're talking about Darkus Snare. This is the 0 cost of the new line of stops a specific core. This one stops Magic Shield. So if your opponent landed on something that boosted their B quite a bit and they won, it's a free stop for it. It's not my favorite because it doesn't happen as often as some of the others, but look at that bear. Darkus Blitz. This one costs 2 energy. And it says your opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose an action and they get rid of it. So the fact it's this cheap is okay, but I'm still not a huge fan of not being able to choose whenever I play my cards. I think this one's okay though. For a flip card that doesn't stop damage, this one is, I think it's okay. You're getting to see what your opponent has in their hand, which is always good. And depending on what other stops you're running, you may be able to play this and another stop depending on how the turn went. And you're slimming down what your opponent can do. I would argue for this one maybe. Sonic Shield is another one. This one's really good. It stops a fist or a flaming fist. So anything that stops a lot or brings you more pain, more damage, this is gonna stop it. And with all the green fist decks that are floating around, I definitely see these being an include in most things, including Darkus. But now we're moving to heroes. There's only one. It's lightning, a new lightning. 2 energy for this one. When you open a Bakugan, it gets +3 damage. Okay. I mean, that one's okay. That one makes it to where things like China Riot and stuff like that isn't as confusing. Or, well, those cards still are. It's just better worded. I like this dog. And that's the end of this one. There's another one coming soon. In fact, I believe it's Chaos. So if you want to see the Chaos part, make sure to stick around and subscribe. But whether you do or whether you don't, you'll see me when you see me.